Hello and welcome to the new Power BI tutorial video. And in this Power BI tutorial video, I want to show you a very common scenario that we encounter in our work, which is related to finding the previous value. For example, we have a table like this where we want to, let's say, subtract this current value with previous value, right? Scenario like those, so that we can basically produce the variance or the output based on the previous value. Sometimes that is a requirement. It can be a little bit complex when you have a matrix like this or a pivot table structure like this, where you can find or you have a requirement to find it from a previous value when it is related to these individual columns, or if you have the rows, right, then basically you want to find a difference from this between this value and this value, right? So it can be any situation where you want to find a previous value. So how we can do that? Well, that's what I was going to tell you. And just a quick information about something you should know is I keep all of my videos over here in this particular sheet, where you can find all my 300 or 350 plus videos which I have already posted onto the Power BI. Title is present here, link is present here, and some information about topic category and the difficulty level, just so that you can get to know. Also, if you have any training requirement where you want to have a advanced dashboard course or a live training requirements, you can reach out to me as the information given here, and we can discuss about your training requirements. Okay, with that, let me go back into the Power BI. So what do we need to do? Well, over here, what Power BI has done in the last year, they have introduced the visual calculation. So if you click on these three dots for this visual, what you get is the new custom visual. In this new custom visual, what you're going to get is the versus previous, right? If you click on that, it basically asks you, this is the calculation. So we will say sales comparison, or maybe any relevant name which is specific to your need. We need to provide a field. What is a field? Sum of sales, right? And what will going to be the previous field will be the again sum of sales, right? Whole idea is this, that the current value will be subtracted from previous value. So before accessories there is nothing, so no subtraction. But if you see over here, 107 minus 167 will give you 59. 27 minus 107 will give you this particular value. So you get the output, right? So this is the situation number one, where you can get it, where you have created a new visual calculation. Now, interesting part about the visual calculation is that it is sort of a DAX formula, which is pretty concise. If you will see, very simple setting we have to do, and it will going to reflect over here with this icon FX. However, it will not reflect anywhere over here. If you will see sales comparison, it will not reflect here. So if you want to make any edit, let's say over here, so we need to open this up by clicking it over here, and we have the option of editing the calculation. Again, we come back over here and we say that okay, sum of previous, and we have some basically inputs like steps. How many steps we want to go back? So if you don't specify anything, it will take one, that means the previous step. But if you want to go 2 steps back, then we have to specify 2 and close it. Let's say that's the modification that is needed, right? So in this case, it has gone 2 steps back, so that definitely for first 2 values there is nothing, but for the third value, 27 minus 167 will give you 140. So that's how it basically works. And if you will see, there are a couple of other parameters as well, which you can utilize for your benefit, like access. In this case, it is all basically in single row, it's sort of a one column only. Then how to treat the blank, and if you want to reset it at a particular point, right, which you can do that, which is much more advanced scenario for those custom needs. But this is generally what you will see. Now, once you are done, you will come back to the report, right, and you have the column which you can display. Now, this is what we have done. Now, what would you do in scenario like what you have is the matrix? So in that case also, if you go to these more option, you have the visual calculation and you have the versus previous. Now here is pretty interesting. Previous compared to this value, that means for this value it should be this value, or this value should be this value is a previous. So that means for these columns or for these rows, how do we need that? And that is where it gets a little interesting. So first thing first is we need a field sum of sales, right? And then previous we will going to write same thing, sum of sales. Then steps, we want to go one step back anyway, so we will not specify anything. Axis is where we need to work. Now for the axis there are something which is called as rows. If you will see, this is where it is very interesting. Generally you would say that rows is like this in single line, right? Row is like this. For furniture this is a row, for office supplies. But no, in this context row is indicating that this is how it will going to work. That means if I say rows over here and close this, it will say 391, nothing is previous, 363 minus 391 minus 27, 406, 363 is a positive outcome, right? So that is what the rows is. And then you have guessed it right, that along with the rows we have the columns, right? So column indicating, clearly indication that this is how it is going on, and you close this and it gives you the output. Versus previous, there is nothing previous to that, so the same values, but for this value minus this value is giving you the output as expected. So that is what I wanted to show you, you know, how you can work with the previous values in the table and matrix. And in the future videos, you know, I will show you how you can even work with the visualization for this previous function, because whether it is line chart, bar chart, or any chart, you know, where we have this information, how we can work it together so that, you know, you get the desired output. With that, thank you so much for watching. I'll meet you in the new video with a new topic.